Alright, cool. Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another community discussion stream. So this time I'm joined by Pete, or the Razored Edge, and Modded Talent. Dutchy Live was also going to join us. He ran into some issues this morning. Not sure if he'll be able to hop on. Hopefully he will be able to, but if not, we've got the three of us. It should be some pretty good discussions. So thanks guys for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
As usual, I've got the topics listed over on the side, so you can keep track of what we're talking about. For anyone on YouTube, I'm also going to have timestamps down in the description for you, and I'll try to get those up shortly after publishing. I gathered some of these topics are just from people on Discord or Twitter, and I've gathered a couple other things that aren't really listed here that we'll just talk about throughout the thing. But if any of the viewers have any questions for us, go ahead and type it in the chat, and we'll try to get to it at some point. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about the first topic, which are the new maps that came in the title update. So, Pete, I know you stream, you've obviously played a lot. Modded Talent, do you play multiplayer a lot? You were very good at the game. I imagine you have played these, so...
A little bit.
What are your guys' thoughts on the map, or maps?
Well, I don't really know what I was expecting out of security, but like security and Gears of War 2 in general left like a bad taste in my mouth. Like I despise Gears of War 2 multiplayer. I think it's the worst in the franchise. Just being dead honest. Like in terms of the game overall, I think the campaign is stellar and the Horde mode in it is amazing. But the campaign, like the inconsistency, the lag, the constant issues it had, the amount of title updates it needed, and it still wasn't finished. That's a whole other story though. That's like a whole other tangent about Gears 2. But with security, I since Gears 2 left a bad taste in my mouth, and I was just expecting just to hate it just as much. But with the small changes and like introducing Gears 4's kind of like new cover mechanics into it, like you can hop over the wall at the grenade spawn and stuff like that. They kind of changed some of the insides of the hallways. You definitely feel that it seems like they widened it, but with Gears 4's kind of like more fast-paced gameplay. It seems like, with the fast movement stuff, it still seems like the corridors are quite tight, and it leads to some good kind of like Nasher engagements. It's a really good mix of gameplay. I'm surprised at how much I actually really do enjoy security. And then in terms of Dawn, I like it. There's nothing I really dislike about it. My constant kind of want for any map is for there to be at least a sniper or an M-bar, and there isn't either on that map, so that's kind of a downer for me. But in terms of layout and how it plays, I definitely really like both of them anyways.
Yeah, I think they should definitely have, up at the Torque area on Dawn, I would have loved to see a Sniper or Numbar go up there.
Mm-hmm. So I am with Pete when you are talking about Gears 2 not being the best multiplayer experience, but I think the Gears 2 maps in general were pretty good, and I kind of like can picture that as independent from the actual gameplay, if that makes sense. So I think Security is a good map, and people wanted it back. I've kind of complained about this before, but since I've been playing the series for so long, and I know you two both have as well, I'm more interested in brand new maps. So obviously I gravitate a lot more towards Dawn, which I think is a very good map, multi-layered, and plays pretty fun. So I'm happy we got a new map, and I'll settle for a Gears 2 map for the time being, even though I would have preferred two brand new maps. And I think the new map was a lot better than the first couple that they released. I know a lot of people were not in love with Glory and Spire. So in terms of this update, I think I'm most happy with these maps that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, far as, so there's been 4 new maps introduced in the DLC so far. You had Spire and Glory at the beginning, which most people didn't really like that much. Diner came along. It was much better.
Love that map.
Yeah, it's much better than Spire and Glory. And then Dawn's come along, and it's probably my favorite out of the 4 so far. So it seems like they just keep getting better.
Yeah, I agree.
I do love how there's great areas for close cover combat, or the like close quarters with the Nasher and stuff. There's also, it's pretty open. There's a lot of Lancer fire that you can have on Dawn. The main issue I have with it, that it seems to be the same on Security, is mainly on King of the Hill and a little bit on TDM. Because it's so open, you can Lancer trap a lot and trap someone in the spawns, or once you get control of a hill in King of the Hill, it's really easy to defend.
Okay, I haven't experienced spawn trapping in on Dawn in particular because there's quite a lot of cover around the spawn area, so that's not something I've bumped into quite yet. On security though, I've bumped into instances where you do feel kind of like trapped because the way the map is set up, people can kind of set up like halfway through the map and you're stuck in the corner kind of on the nade side of the map, and it's just constant dealing with Lancer fire, especially with the current balancing in the game. Like the Lancer is nuts, and so is the Hammer Burst as well. Like 2 bursts to the head with the Hammer Burst and you're down. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of these 2 maps as far as competitive goes? I think Dawn could potentially be seen in escalation. I'm not sure. Security, I don't see security working at all.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I honestly didn't consider it too much, but just with what Pete said, we've only been able to play it with the core weapon tuning, so it's going to be much different when you add in those competitive weapon tunings to see how things work. But I would love to see if they at least give Dawn a really good chance at becoming a competitive map that you could use for escalation, just kind of spice up the competitive scene. And so I'm curious to see if it works, but I would be guessing at this point if I gave you an answer.
So do you guys think we're starting to see a little uptick now in new maps coming along? Being we had Diner somewhat recently, and now we're getting Dawn. Right now, we only have 4 new maps, but do you think we're getting more?
Yeah, I do. I think what it is that it is genuinely easier for the coalition to remake maps, right? So they're probably putting more time and effort into trying to deliver their own version of Gears maps, but they want to take their time doing it, so they're giving us remakes in the meantime. So I could see why it's taken a bit longer for them to get like some of their own original maps out. As Mod Talent or Clutch Chris said earlier, he was saying that like he wants to see more new maps in the game, and I'm definitely behind that. I definitely think we will start seeing 2 new maps at a time eventually in the future, but I do think that we're going to see a lot more Gears of War 2 maps creep in as well. I think security is going to be the start of that.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been asking for those Gears 2 maps, so hopefully we start seeing them soon. Yeah,
but the thing is that the Gears 2 maps actually do feel like a breath of fresh air in a way, because it's been like, how long? 9 years, something like that? Since, or 2007, it's been a long time, right? 2007. I can't mathematics.
No, 2009. I don't remember.
Like 10 years or something.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but like it will, when those maps come about, I'm sure that they will probably end up changing like certain parts of them, like River. I remember, who was it that your friend was, Blue Dodger, that made he made a version of River in Minecraft that had like extra tunnels and stuff. So I think like River probably, as it is, probably wouldn't work in Gears of War 4, so they might have to make some adjustments to these maps. But I don't mind them making slight adjustments to kind of work with Gears of War 4's gameplay. I think that actually it gives us nostalgia, but also gives us a new experience at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. And just with that said, if you remember Gears Judgment, they imported Blood Drive, and they added some new like pathways out of spawn. So I feel like bring back old maps, but also tweak them and make them even better than they were before. There's no reason you can't modify them and make them even better. So I like that point.
Like Gears 3 did that with Jacinto, for example. They added those extra tunnels down near the pistol side.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess speaking of these new experiences, a couple other things that came along in the title update were some slight changes to verses, and then some Horde changes. So the Horde ones were pretty quick, so we'll knock those out. Have you guys played any of the updated Horde things?
Where they dropped the Feral Horde into the main? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so there were 2 changes. One is now we have the Feral Horde characters going into the main thing, which...
It was only some of them, right? Like they didn't put the DR1s with the tri-shots or anything like that. Yeah. It's only like some of the characters that were in there.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, and some people are saying it's great. It adds some more variety to Horde because it was starting to get pretty repetitive. One of the things I've noticed, though, is you used to, as a sniper, you could pick up an M-bar right at the beginning by killing one of the Deadeyes. And now that there's a bunch of Feral Horde guys, you're not really getting those M-bars. So it kind of hurts the sniper class.
See, I don't play Horde at all, so I can't add too much, but I don't know if they have this. It'd be really cool if you could kind of toggle which enemies you want to be able to like play against if they're adding in these new like feral Horde type players. I don't know if that like would make sense, but I feel like that'd be kind of cool.
Well, I think like this is something I've been wanting to discuss myself, but I think they need to drop the locust in there, man. Like
I agree. Yeah.
They're not like in terms of the variety of the swarm in the game. They're not going to create new types of enemies, right? Like it's always going to be a variation of a current character that's in the game. Like and I feel like why we feel like the Gears 4 Horde gets repetitive slightly enemy wise is because look at what Gears 3 Horde had. There was like 2 factions we were facing against that like had just as many doppelgangers of each other. Like so there was like lambent drones, normal drones, like there was
Savage.
like all different kinds of Savage. Like there was an insane amount of variety of locusts in there. And then with Gears 4, we only have like, you know, the standard drones for, you know, the DBs and the swarm, and then there's kind of like mid-tier, and then there's the boss kind of characters. But I think they need to seriously consider adding in the locust if that isn't in the plans already. I have a feeling that could be part of the big like summer update for Horde mode. I would love to see that. I think people would really get behind that, and it would drive a lot of attention back to the game. Not that it's not getting attention or anything, but
No, I agree with you, and I remember how crazy people were going when they just brought back a Locust skin. So imagine if they brought back like the Locust faction and you could actually play that in Horde, then I might even boot up Horde myself and, you know, give it a go. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And the last Horde thing to hit on real quick is, so if anyone has seen my Horde guides, you know about this, or if you play Horde a lot, you know about the recycling ability, where if a fortification is destroyed, you get 25% of the energy back to spend or to go deposit in your fabricator. And this update changed that down to 20%. That's pretty small nerf, in my opinion. The main thing, it seems like it was done to stop people from recycling and boosting their fabricator level. It hurts speedrunners a little bit. But
a little bit, but not a lot. Like, it might delay like some of the shit you can do by a couple of waves. Because like the way I look at a speedrun, I see them in like you see them in chunks of 10. So like you might drop hammers later than you would or something like that later on. But like I don't think they can really mess with stuff like that too hard without making it difficult for people who play the game normally, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because there are like players of Horde that don't think of it in that kind of way. They just play, they just see things and kill them. They don't think of like, you know, costs of stuff, or they just buy what they want, that kind of thing. So like those kind of players need that extra kind of boost in power.
Yeah. So I guess I was personally really surprised at how small the nerf was. But like you said, they can't nerf it too much, or else people are gonna have a hard time in regular Horde. So I guess let's talk about versus a little bit. One of the biggest things that come out within the past few weeks is this ranking system update, and the fact that you can see the stats online. I guess
okay.
So you guys are diamond in most of your stuff, I imagine, right?
Me personally, I actually just lost my diamond in team deathmatch today because when I play solo, I just get the worst teammates just in the world. Like it's every time, it's just like people who don't know. It's like they don't know how to play the game. Like genuinely don't know how to play the game. Yet the other team is like a stack of like diamond and onyx 3s. Like and it just doesn't make it. So I just go in there. Like I got my diamond, so I actually have the diamond skin now for season 2 or season 1, sorry. And so like if you lose your rank, you actually still get to get the diamond reward. As long as you hit it, it doesn't matter. So I really don't care. I'm just kind of going in there and having fun. I really don't care about my rank generally. The only reason I'm actually carrying this time around is because of the diamond skins. But what's interesting about the website is that I have actually been using it. And it's nice to know where you're at level wise, but I still don't know what like equals more percentage, like what gives you more of a reward towards the rest of your rank versus what doesn't. Like I've gotten MVPs in games and gone up by 1%. There's sometimes I've come bottom of the leaderboard and gone up by 20%. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there has to be some kind of like translation there. Like I don't understand why. Like I've won 7 games in a row and dropped down 2 ranks. I've lost 5 games in a row and went up a couple of ranks. Like that's the stuff I don't understand.
Yeah, they said they were going to give a description of the ranking system and stuff, and I mean, they kind of did. They did that long page of description, but it didn't really tell us much. It pretty much said, like, do well and you rank up, do badly and you go down. But I, like what you said, I would really like to see, hey, in Guardian, if you survive as leader, or if you kill the leader, these types of things help you, or KD doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff will give you a big bonus, like MVPs and all that. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, I was just going to say, you're right. It's a tad difficult to understand. I'm really happy that they're starting to focus on the matchmaking. And, I mean, like, I'm Diamond for the playlist that I mostly play on, like, Execution and whatnot. But I was going to say, I don't even feel like Diamond status or anything like that is even that meaningful yet. I mean, you were saying how you get matched with people who don't know how to play the game, and you get put against good players, and that might happen vice versa. But I don't find that the rankings makes a huge difference. I just, end up getting put up against random people. So I love the stats page that they added. It adds a lot of incentive, so players want to try to, rank up. But a couple things, they should put that in the game so you can just see that while you're searching. That would be awesome. And then the second point being what you were saying, which is make it understandable, because it'll feel a lot more rewarding to work towards something when you know how to achieve exactly what it is you want to do. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Let's see, crossplay. That's going to be coming to ranked modes soon. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm avoiding that like the plague. Like, I'm happy that it's there for the PC community because they're having struggles population-wise, but from a content creator's perspective, since I have like more eyes on me than the usual player, not to sound like egotistical or anything, but I would be a target of people using scripts. Now, I already have been a target of people using scripts on Gears of War PC. People come in, like, try to stream snipe me when in the developer playlist using aimbots and all kinds of stuff. So in ranked, people are going to do that now they're going to try and do everything they can to somehow hide it and use it to their advantage. Like, they may use an aimbot just to snap and see where people are, but may not use it to get kills. Like, just some slight advantages. It's just going to attract a lot of trouble, I feel, especially for people on the console side of things. That's why I feel like the game would need an anti-cheat, but I'm not sure if that's something that the Coalition are looking into. Yeah,
I'm actually on the opposite end of you. Those are some good points that I didn't consider, and that's awful that people are trying to ruin your streams. But I think your average player probably doesn't have as many followers as you do. So I don't think.
And that's what I'm saying is that, but I'm saying, but this time around with ranked, it's not just going to be every occasion that I just so happen to stream that these people are going to come out of their little corner or whatever. Like, they're going to be doing this to get their ranks up. They're going to try and take advantage of it in that playlist, cheat. It frustrates me just thinking about it, honestly.
So I was going to ask you, can you opt out? I think you can, right?
Console players can opt out. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
And so I like that they're. I think crossplay is great. I mean, I have friends who play on the PC, so I can play with them. And if it's frustrating, having the option to opt out, I think that's great. So, I mean, cheating would be awful, but at the very least, you don't have to put up with it by opting out. So I'm actually really happy that they added that feature. And so
yeah, and so one way I see this is it's going to be good for PC players. I could see it hurting console a little bit right now, even with the toggle type thing, because say you have 90% on Xbox and 10% on PC. Once you add this crossplay, you might be able to increase the player count on PC a little bit, but console's now going to have this split between do you have crossplay enabled or no crossplay enabled. And so you might be searching on a match and you can't find anything because the only matches that are going on right now are crossplay enabled.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I wonder if crossplay as an option by default, will it be on or off? I think it would be more beneficial for them to default have it off, and then the console players can opt in, because imagine if it's automatically on and then people don't want, then there's a very tiny population of people on console that are trying to find each other, and they're all condensed in kind of like a split because people are opted in on PC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've heard people suggest, I can't remember who said this, but is maybe make it default to no crossplay, but give an incentive for a while that hey, if you're playing on PC or if you're playing with crossplay enabled, then you get a 10% boost in XP and credits or something like that. Make it give people an incentive to turn that crossplay on, and maybe they could turn the incentive off after a while, but people will have switched over to crossplay enabled and forget to turn it back off.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So yeah, I don't know. Right now I'm not sure which way I'll be playing, with it on or off. I haven't personally run into any issues with crossplay, so I might just leave it on, but I don't know.
No, the only reason I'm turning mine off is because I've already had experience, and but that's just me. Like I'm a very special case. Like to the average person maybe watching this, you're probably going to be fine. But what I will say is I'll probably give it a try, and if I start getting targeted by people doing that, then I'll just turn it off. Like no big deal.
Yeah. Let's see. So just going through my list of topics right now that people suggested on Twitter and Discord. There was the developer playlist is going on right now. And one of the things that's been brought up a lot is that the developer playlist essentially is an early access playlist. We get to play these maps for a week before they go into the regular rotation.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to see it actually utilized for testing stuff, or what types of things would you like to see tested in the developer playlist?
That's what I thought it was going to be when I first heard of it. Like
that's what everyone thought it was going to be.
I thought it was going to be like not finished builds of maps that like would go away and then would come back with a different version. Like oh, is this better? Like kind of like community test environment like Battlefield does, or the Division does it as well in their PTS servers. I'd love to see something like that. But then at the same time, does that like kill any kind of hype or marketing behind any new maps that come out? I find that like when games that do let you play like pre-patch builds of games, that people are already bored of that map and know enough about it that they're kind of like, I don't really care when it comes out. You know what I mean?
It's a good point. I also though was thinking that the developer playlist was going to have a bunch of cool experimental stuff. I don't know, like 3v3 v3 mode, or just a bunch of creative things that they could do. And yeah, it's frustrating that it's right now just an early access playlist, because I think a lot of people purchased the season's pass on the representation that they were going to have new exciting things to try. And yeah, it might kill hype in some respects if you're just leaving this excluded group of players to try new things, and they get burnt out before it gets released to the greater public. But I mean, from my perspective, this was something that I was expecting and that I didn't get. So I think it's just a huge missed opportunity right now. And testing maps is one great thing, but there's also different things they can test, like gun balances or game modes and stuff. So that's kind of what I was expecting, and I'm still kind of fingers crossed, hoping that we see some of that.
Yeah, I think it's the first place that they tested crossplay. So that's an example of sort of like a feature that they tested in that. And that's kind of what I expected it to be used for. I thought it would be cool if it was used to test maps, but that would be kind of difficult for them to do, because they'd have to ship out the map as part of the title update, and it'd make the title updates even bigger, and you'd have all these files of incomplete maps on your hard drive. But I mean, testing modes or testing game types and weapon balances, like you said, are something that I really think they should be able to do. It would be excellent.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why it's called the developer playlist.
So when the season pass was first announced, it was announced as the VIP playlist. Okay. But if anyone remembers what Judgment had, it was the season pass holders had the VIP playlist where they could play early. And my guess is people were like, "Oh no, it's Judgment! Get that out of here! We don't want this thing."
Dude, you know what's funny? Like, anytime anything about Judgment is mentioned, like, it's taboo. Like, you can't talk about it. Like, oh, get that away from this game. But like, there's like things like, the way you're able to hop over the wall on security, you drop like a distance more than you kind of usually would on a normal piece of half cover. People are like, that's so Judgment-esque. I hate that. I'm never playing security ever. I'm rage quitting every match. I'm just like, but so Judgment was like this massive kind of experiment, and I kind of enjoyed the game to a certain degree, but I probably wouldn't have stuck around if that's the direction that the franchise took. But I think the game had a lot going for it in terms of some of the features that it did introduce. But it was such an extreme parallel to Gears of War 3 that was just like, kind of like, hang on a second, like, Jesus, like, slow down a minute. But what Gears 4 is doing, it's kind of like, since it is building upon Gears of War 3, it kind of is looking at Judgment, but introducing that stuff in a more kind of natural way, like the vault kick, like the close cover combat, like the way you can grab people, like you can drop down a certain amount. Like, I wouldn't mind being able to fall down a certain amount, as long as you kind of like hurt yourself and took a second to get up, kind of like in Judgment, but just not that you're like walking off of platforms. I think that was kind of silly. But I think the implementation of being able to hop over certain pieces of cover like that, I don't think they should be afraid to do that. Like on Dawn, for instance, I think it would have been really clever if you guys played enough to know where the drop shot spawn is. You know where that is? Yeah. Do you know where the shot grenade is as well? Like just above it. There's actually a tier, like a platform, kind of like underneath. Like between the drop shot and the shot grenade, that it looks like if they wanted to, you could be able to mantle on top of that and then climb up again. I think they should like introduce more diverse ways of traversing the map, like being able to climb up multiple platforms in a certain sense. Like you shouldn't be afraid to experiment with stuff like that. Like, where are ladders? Like do stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think they shouldn't be afraid to try things like that.
I think you're giving them some great ideas for the developer playlist if they want to go and put those in there. But I agree with you. Like, in moderation, if you introduce some of the things that Judgment had, like, it wasn't all bad. And as long as people, like you said, can't hop off platforms and keep running away, then I'm okay with them making multiple routes for people to escape or being able to climb stuff. But those are all, like, things that are not massively game-changing that would be kind of cool to test. So it's exactly this kind of, like, discussion that I would hope fuels that kind of stuff for the developer playlist, if possible.
Yeah. And so, speaking of Judgment, one of Rod's recent tweets was about what game modes you guys would like to see return.
Yeah, he got me all kinds of excited, man.
Yeah, he said there's no promises, and obviously a lot of the modes would be difficult to bring back. They had Submission, which didn't get too many votes. They had Wingman, which that always dies off really quickly. It's a great mode, but
so
a
that's
lot of
why
people
I'm
want it.
Yeah, that's why I'm really shocked that it's got this insane amount of hype behind it, right? Like, people are like, yes, Wingman. And I'm kind of like in my head going like, hang on a second. It died in Gears of War 2. It had a long life, but it died like hardcore. It just fell off one time and never recovered. But then in Gears 3, it was one of the fastest playlists to die. So it shocks me that people want to see that come back in such a heavy degree. I understand, because like, all playlists in the game are 5v5, right? So there is no other kind of experience. So I get why people want that. But when a developer gives you the option to vote for something like Overrun, which is an entirely different way to play Gears of War 4, like, there is no mode where we can play as the Swarm. We can't play as the Pouncer. We can't play as the Snatcher. We can't play as the Carrier. Like, all those amazing things. And people would say, like, the Beast mode's probably more realistic, but at the same time, people don't want to face against bots. Yeah. It's probably, like, Beast mode would be the more logical choice out of all of those game modes. I feel like it's the more realistic one to be made, because that mode takes place on actual multiplayer maps in the game. Mm-hmm. But with Overrun, they have to create, like, entirely new maps. So the chance of that happening,
way Overrun would come back.
Yeah, the chance of that happening for Gears 4 is slim to none.
Yeah.
But I would be shocked if it's not in Gears of War 5. But I'm kind of annoyed at the community for not getting behind Beast mode, because I'd love to be able to do something else, because we already have multiple 5v5 PvP modes, and like, essentially Wingman is another PvP arena mode, just like Execution, Team Deathmatch, all the stuff we're already playing. I would like another experience in the game rather than just Horde or multiplayer.
Yeah, and then the other big one that was not on the poll that everyone, Pete, I think even you may have responded with this, is Free For All. Was not in the poll.
Yeah,
and
should be in there.
Why? Like, I made a video about this. Like,
maybe it was just a given.
Needs it, man.
Maybe it was just a given. Everyone would have voted for that.
Yeah, but like, what? I'm not going to say what it was, because the coalition say. Yeah, but wasn't Free For All brought up on their end before? Is all I'll say.
Yeah.
That mode is just like a no-brainer to me, for all the lone wolves who don't like to get paired with people who don't know how to play the game or whatever it is, I was surprised the game didn't ship with Free For All, to be honest.
There's some decent UI changes that would need to happen. Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't shipped with it, but to add it in through a title update, there's a couple UI changes that have to be made, and weapon balance is actually a really big one. Because Judgment was designed without having the down but not out system.
What would the player count be? Would it be 10?
It'd probably still be 10.
I think it'd be 10.
Kind of be 10 because
it'd be pretty
I think
packed.
it would have to be 8, I think, because
of the size of the maps?
Of the size of the maps and the amount of spawns. So if you think of Wingman, you're already, with 2 people on each team, you're already very close to each other. So trying to give everybody separate spawns with 10 people would be very difficult. I think they would need to whittle it down to 8 people. But I think that would work. I genuinely think that would work. It would just be like people go, how would free-for-all wouldn't work? The spawns would be weird, blah, blah, blah. But like at the same time, I'm saying it would just be Wingman spawns with one less person. Like that's it. And maybe kind of like shunt people away a little bit more.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and I feel like for free-for-all, and you mentioned it, Chaps, like maybe you can disable downs. I don't know if that's possible, or make it so weapons don't respawn for like 30 seconds so people can fight. So this is an example of just like simple things you can do to tweak the mode to make it a lot more fair and fun. So even like I'd be cool with 6 people on a map just to try, just use the developer playlist once again and find a happy balance if that's possible. So.
Like they could even tailor the playlist to take place on smaller maps, like the smaller maps in the game. Like it doesn't have to be on every single map, like all the huge maps in the game. Like Diner's actually enormous. It feels small in some sense, but like I think like something like that would be too big for free for all, or it could work. I don't know. Yeah. We'd need to see.
Yeah,
good idea anyway.
I'd love to see it, and so would almost everybody, it seems. Let's see. Do you guys have any other Versus and Horde topics that you would want to talk about?
I guess my bullet points would be I'd love to see Locust and Horde. Give us more new maps. Don't be afraid to put 2 of them together. I think they're kind of trying to touch into the nostalgia at the same time to bring people back and stuff. But I don't think they should be afraid. I think what happened is that there was such kickback from Glory and Spire that they're afraid to put out 2 new maps at the same time. I think that's what it could be. But yeah, that's kind of all the points I have. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm with that, and I think the only thing I would add is for the rankings, like we were saying earlier, make it so it's understandable how you can actually rank up. And I want to see some tweaks when it comes to the core versus competitive playlist, because I'm a player who traditionally plays mostly competitive, and it's kind of getting boring to just have escalation and execution, and yes, competitive warm-ups in there, but that doesn't exactly...
It's King of the Hill, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's nice, and I'm happy it's in there, but I mean, I like to play in ranked playlists, and it'd be cool to have like King of the Hill competitive. So maybe just cycling playlists, I'd really appreciate that and probably enjoy it, because I'm not huge on the core damage.
I would love to see a 2 competitive social playlist. One that's competitive objective, where you have King of the Hill and Guardian and maybe Arms Race, and then a competitive Slayer where it's TDM and I don't know, Execution and what's the other one?
Warzone?
Dodgeball. No.
Dodgeball, yeah. We'll get rid of Warzone.
So so Chaps, that's kind of like your that's your workaround for the fact that the coalition don't seem to be giving into the idea of a united balance, which I still don't understand.
Yeah,
I agree with you there.
God, like, do you guys think that they will eventually heed like people's feedback about that? Do you see them giving into that feedback eventually? Because like there's just core, it just seems like it can never be balanced just with how OP the weapons are. But like I remember Adam made points before when I was watching the previous community discussion that like players like us are the minority. Like there's a lot of casual players out there that don't have the gun skill that like people like us who played the game since 06, 07, that kind of thing, that can't get a kill without that kind of help. But maybe explore things like the way Gears of War 3 gave people the damage boost in the beginning or something like that to give them their first couple of kills, or I don't know. I
think Gears 5 is going to see a universal tuning.
I agree.
It's hard about the feedback thing, because a lot of the feedback, if it's something negative that people want to see changed, they seem to take that as an insult. At least it appears that they don't really like listening to that. But I would love to see them do something with the competitive, for example, the competitive warm-up, split it into 2 playlists so that you can have more modes there, and and you can split it into things so people can play what they want to play in competitive, but just keep it a social thing.
So I just want to add that I think it's too late in the game cycle for us to get a universal playlist, but from a competitive standpoint, and this is what confuses me because they've put such a heavy emphasis on esports. To me, if I'm watching people play esports, I would want to know that I'm using the same tunings as them and thinking to myself, hey, maybe if I play enough, I can get to that level. So I think it might be deceiving for people who play core and then watch competitive players play and not really understanding why there's two balances. So, I mean, I think that's just one argument for why.
Sense, though, right?
I've heard that. I've made that argument plenty of times. Like, how many people watch League of Legends and go like, "Wow, I want to play like that," and then they can hop on the game and play like that. Oh, they watch Counter-Strike pros. They want to hop on the game and play like that. They can hop on the game and play like that. But then if they hop on Gears of War, they have like these multiple choice, and they're like, "Oh, like I just want to play team deathmatch." Oh, I've gotten really good at the game now. Now I want to play competitive. Oh, wait, there's a different balance. I need to relearn the game. What? Like,
exactly.
It's just confusing to people, and it kind of makes someone like someone who could have gone competitive and could be your next mental. Optic player or something like that. Your next mental or explosive or any of those guys. Like, they're just like, nah, I'm not bothered learning the game again. Like it alienates people from taking that next step. But again, is that just a minority? Like, is it worth them just keeping it for, the amount of people who just casually hop on Gears and they're still the people who pay the, the $70 for Gears 5 and 6 and all these future games that are going to be on the way kind of thing?
Yeah,
I think that's a good question, but I just kind of looked at the past as evidence, and, some of the Gears games did incredibly well. Most of them did incredibly well with one tuning. And I don't think we need to argue that the core, the competitive tuning is the correct tuning, or that the core tuning is necessarily the incorrect tuning. Just find one tuning that's a nice balance and implement it into the game. And if history has showed anything for Gears, it's that it's completely doable to make a game with a gun balance that works for most players, in my opinion. So,
yeah, but they both work. So they both of the playlists actually make the argument for us. Like, core feels OP and competitive feels like just a bit
weak.
Yeah, weak and marshmallowy. So where's that nice in between that would just everyone would be happy with? It's not even the new players could be like, okay, this is doable. I can actually still kill people because the Lancer isn't potato like it is in competitive. I don't know. I think there is realistically an in-between. I just really hope that the coalition consider it, and that there is no competitive, and I have Gears 4 open next to me here, that there is no competitive and core. It's just the one thing. All of the game modes are in the one list kind of thing. It just makes more sense to me.
And so my biggest issue, I think, with the split is that you've seen over the years they start to cater more and more to this casual audience, and I completely agree that they should open it up, bring in as many people as they can. But in doing so, they seem to be sort of changing what Gears is at its roots. And instead of taking core and using that as a stepping stone to get people into competitive and play the game that we've all grown to love, they're sort of making that the norm and having competitive just be this sidestep. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with it.
I agree with you, and once again, it just seems kind of irrational when you're focusing a lot of your resources on trying to grow the esports scene. You'd think you'd give them more options and playlists to kind of enjoy the game competitively. So it's almost contradictory for me in a sense when you mentioned that to focus on all these core playlists and on one side, and then focus on the esports scene, which I'm in love with. I think they're doing a great job there, but I think some changes in the game in that respect would really help us.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the last topic I have listed here. By the way, if anyone in the chat has any topics they want to see us cover, just let us know. So the last topic I've listed here is microtransactions. So I wanted to start off with talking about the 2 packs, or I guess there's 3 packs that we know of for this month. There's the esports one, that's essentially your general esports pack. We've got the weapon collector pack, and the zombie Carmine pack. Which I saw the rumors about the zombie Carmine pack, had no idea until, Pete, I saw your video showing when you showed, hey, Major Nelson actually confirmed this. I was like, oh, wow, really? Okay.
I was surprised that in that video. Like
Yeah.
I thought the coalition would want to break that first for themselves, but I guess that's Xbox kind of dispersing their news. I guess
I don't know if the TC knew that it was going in there because they haven't even made a tweet or anything about it yet.
Yeah, there was no tweet like mentioning, like there was no retweet of that video going out on the Gears of War Twitter account. Nothing. There was no acknowledgement of it anywhere. Not even from Adam or Liam. I'm not sure if they were just like busy with Gears Paris or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like we have Zombie Benjamin Carmine, Zombie Anthony Carmine, which I was kind of like, what? Like that's kind of insane. And then he's got like the hole in his head and everything.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I'm not a fan of the zombie skins just for the sole fact they say brains like over and over again, but I love the way they look. If they just take that out, I'm all good. Like I will use the zombie skins over and over again.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited to have Carmines in the game. And then of course we get Zombie Gary Carmine. But the question is here, does that kind of confirm that he died?
Yeah.
That's a question I kind of proposed. Like, is he dead? A lot of people seem to think he just kind of got blown back and that we're going to see him later in Gears 5
I think
again.
it's been confirmed that he's dead.
Yeah.
Rip Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Gary. God damn it.
So one of the big things that we saw in that promo for it is it looks like there's at least 3 legendary characters in that pack. And it's probably going to be a 2,000 credit pack.
Yeah.
The legendary drop rate is very low. So I
got the Locust Grenadier Elite in 11 packs, which I was surprised about.
So we have this stat pack opening stats page where we can see all these stats for stuff, and there's like a 0.1% chance of getting them.
Oh,
So
it's not good.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it's normally around like 2% for a legendary or something like that. So
Jeez.
I'm curious to see how these Carmines go. But that's just, they're going to be, everyone's using up their credits on these weapon collector packs. I would strongly urge you to save them up for the Carmine ones.
I didn't. I said I was just going to buy, like, what I did was I'd buy 10 at a time, open them, and then if I didn't get it, I'd do another 10 instead of... I see people kind of make the mistake of, I'm just going to buy 100, and they buy 100, and then they get the character they want, like, in the first couple of packs, and they're like, shit, I just wasted, like, everything.
Yeah.
So my advice to, like, so the reason I buy 10 is, like, for a video, but for, like, the regular Joe, buy 3 or 5, like, and open them like that instead of kind of, because then you're like, shit, I know I've just wasted a bunch of credits that I could have had for the Carmine packs. But my advice is just to get in the dev playlists, use whatever scrap you have to get get coin bounties or credit bounties, and play as much Horde as possible. That's it. I think I'm sitting at 75k at the moment. I want to be at 100,000 for the Carmine packs. There's no way I'm letting that pack go by and not getting everything.
I wish I could transfer you credits. I was telling BChaps, I never buy packs or use modify. I have 170,000 credits that I just I know I wish I could just give it to you because I'm not going to use them.
Why not use them? Why not? Do you not want more characters?
So I mean, I'm kind of crazy. Dom is my skin. That's the skin I like, and then I don't really care for too many of the aesthetics. But I think it's awesome, and TC is doing such a good job of making all this new content because I know people get really excited for it. That's just not what gets me excited for Gears.
You're just happy to stick with Dom.
Oh yeah, if I'm not Dom, I'm not happy. So
I remember you were this is getting a bit weird for anybody who may not know, but I remember you were the dude who used to use young Dom on Judgment all the time. I was like, dude, he makes me want to play as that character. It's insane.
Thank you.
But I just can't imagine how you can let those characters go by since they're exclusive to a period of time. But here's a topic, and this just pops into my head. Why after these packs disappear don't they drop the characters into the main?
They really should.
I don't know what to call it, into the main gear packs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess if I had to reason it, it would be to make people play the game like crazy, so they try their best to accumulate it right away, right?
Because but
They
think of it this
should
way.
go in after, maybe give it 2 or 3 months and then add them to the pool or something like that.
Not even that though. But so here's in my head what sounds perfect. So even when those gear packs come out, they should put them in the normal ones as well. But the new gear packs, like the timed exclusive ones, give you an increased like rate over the regular ones, because since the characters are being dropped into the pool of every character that's in the game, the chance of you getting the specific one you want is quite small. But having the characters in the main pool, like having like Ram and all those characters like in the main pool, would make people inclined to actually open Elite and Operations packs,
which
and
they
actually
don't do anymore.
And maybe fork out money. Like if they're like, shit, I have no credits, I'll just drop like €5 or whatever and get myself a couple of Elite packs or whatever. But like I never open any of those packs ever. Like they're completely useless, because you can craft every character that's there already. And then it just, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Like why aren't they in the main pool? That's just my argument.
It's funny that you bring that up, because 2 or 3 weeks ago I made a forum thread about the issues I see with microtransactions and my proposed solution, and it was just that: add it to the regular pool.
Okay, really.
It got
I did not take your idea. I didn't know.
No, it got a really good reception. People really liked it, and it makes perfect sense to me.
I was gonna say it sounds like a good idea, and I feel like a lot of people get frustrated with RNG. Is that the term? So it's like tough. So if you're saying that, that's a great term. Anyway, so if you have these exclusive packs that increase your chances, that might help some of the RNG players who are praying to the RNG Jesus or whatever, that are getting frustrated, get their character. So I feel like, that's hopefully something that we'll see changed. I love the content. I think it's just also an issue of making sure that players can actually realistically get that content, even if they don't want to pay for it by playing the game. So I know some people get frustrated with the amount of time and credits they have to sink into Gears 4 to get what they want sometimes.
Yeah, like I don't know how many times I get tweets of people who are frustrated. Like I sunk 100,000 credits in and didn't get a single character, and I'm just like, wow, that's the look of the draw. Like, because the gear packs literally are slot machines in a certain sense. Like even with credits, not just talking about money, but like even with credits, like there are times where you don't get a single thing. Like I've experienced it with the esports packs. I've experienced it with, like, I've saved up a bunch of credits and done openings and gotten nothing. I just think, like, if you give people that extra chance, if you put stuff into the main pool, instead of people getting like, shit, I missed the opportunity to get the character that I wanted, they can still kind of, like, when they're just playing the game normally in between these periods of time where these special packs come out, they can still get a chance to get their Carmine or their Ram or their Locust Grenadier, I just think that seems more fair to me. And it seems like that people would be a lot less frustrated. And like, because I think the UIR packs were kind of a great example. Like they put out the ugly Christmas skins in that gear pack, and then everyone put out their credits in that, and then just like bam, UIR pack, and it's like shit, I've like no time to get any credits for this, because they were how much were they?
They're 4K.
4,000 credits. Yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah.
Wow, I was so blown away at that. That was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Or were they $10 if you wanted? Well, Canadian, I guess. For me, it was a high price.
Yeah, they were labeling it as a premium pack, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things you brought up, let's talk about the drop rates for a minute. So I've seen a ton of stats on drop rates just because of the tool my friends and I have been using. So I guess one of the issues I had was these ROM packs, for example. You had ROM was a very, very rare card. Its drop rate was a lot lower than even Cantus and Savage Cantus, which first of all, I don't agree with that. But then I think the issue we've been seeing a lot with the microtransactions recently are a lot of skins that, I hate to call them lazy, but there's a lot of skins that are being added to the game that seem like they're being added for the sake of adding skins when there's not really going to be anyone using them. The ROM Emergence packs, I think those had, 2 or 3 complete weapon skins in with it, and that just sort of watered down the odds and made it harder and harder for people to get those characters that they wanted.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Like, kind of like how many sets are in the weapon collector? Like, I know it is a weapon collector, so that one's kind of a special case, but there's a lot of skins in there that people are going to use.
I think they announced 5 weapon skins, but there's actually a 6th one that they didn't announce in it, the Corpser skin. Or Swarmax skin.
Do you know what's funny? All the skins in that pack are actually really good. Like, they're all animated to a certain degree. I think the disco one is the only one that isn't. That one just kind of reflects light. But I think it was the disco skin was in Ultimate Edition, right?
Yeah. Actually,
was it animated in there?
I don't know. But actually, that disco skin has caused a lot of uproar recently. I guess there's not too many people who know about it, but the disco Boltok was not available for a while. So there's a lot of reports of people who bought like a ton of packs, got everything except for that one, and then they continued buying packs because they wanted to complete their set, and the disco Boltok was not available. It's been fixed now, and it is available, but there's a lot of people...
Just genuinely wasn't in there, which is, that's kind of weird.
So I didn't see anything official with them saying that they fixed it. I've heard that it was addressed and that it's been added, but I personally haven't seen anything. But I do have our stats of where there's been like 600 packs opened, and you see that for the first like 550 packs or something like that, there's no Disco Boltok, and in the last 50 after that, there's been like 8 of them.
No, it just you talking about that just put a thought into my head. Like, I know the discussion of duplicates has come up a lot of times, but just so my experience, I bought the esports supporter pack 4 on Friday, and I did an opening. I got 4 out of the 5. I got Black Steel, Sam, Dizzy, Ty, and the Grenadier, Black Steel Grenadier.
How many packs did you open?
10.
10. Okay.
But I didn't get the drone. I got a duplicate Grenadier, and it's just making me think, like, it would be so nice if the game would just detect what you have and was just like, you know, if he gets a legendary, we'll give him the one he doesn't have. That would be great. It would just be so nice, because like dropping that amount of money on a pack, like, it is a lot. Like, even 10 to like not get what you want is like, you get this like sinking feeling in your stomach, like when it happens. You're just kind of like, God, I still didn't get it, and then you kind of like wanna try and get it again, but then you're kind of like, geez, it is a lot of cash, you know. But
so the solution they have or the method they have right now, it does help them make more money because it's RNG. People are going to be spending more. But one of the solutions I actually really liked that I saw someone post. Yeah, one of the things I saw people post on the forums, though, which I really liked, was once you get a card, don't make it so it's impossible to get, but make it so the chances of getting that one are decreased. And so the more times you've pulled a certain card, the lower your chances of getting that one are.
Yeah. So if I can just say something, because, well, the Gears e-supporter packs, you have to pay for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it might be clever if you can potentially get the same card that you already got, and I know you guys will agree with me here, obviously that doesn't make for a happy customer when you're paying money and you got exactly the same thing that you got. So I feel like the Coalition really needs to recognize that, I mean, for me, if people are throwing down more money on these supporter packs, like, that's great. They're supporting the game. It helps the game grow, but you got to treat your consumers properly, and I don't think it's... like, I don't know if ethical is the word, but that's the word that I'm thinking, to have people pay money to get the exact same thing. You know, it makes no sense. Yeah, you can scrap it, but I'm sure you have a bunch of other stuff you can scrap already. So like Pete said, I think it needs to be made in such a way that if you have 5 out of 6 characters from an e-supporters pack, when you buy that next pack, you are guaranteed to get that last character instead of a duplicate. So yeah, I don't buy the packs, but that's what I think makes the most sense.
And I get why it's set up the way it's set up. Like, it's making them a lot of money, and it's giving them, you know, the $1 million prize pools and all that, so they can have, you know, the large amount of money on the promotions for the events. Like, it draws in viewers and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But I think, and I get that they land certain people who will keep being addicted to the packs and like want to keep getting it until they get the whole set, kind of like me sometimes. But I have kind of held myself back with more recent packs. Like, I'm not gonna try and get the drone. I'm just gonna accept that I'm not gonna get it. But like, I think it would be great if they just put the characters in the store for a set amount, and like you could buy them. Like, I think a lot more people would buy.
Yeah,
like,
I'd be really curious
to spend
their
money. I think it would make just as much money, and people would be happy with it. I think they should test that out. Instead of doing Esports Supporter 5, they should put out a Black Steel set, maybe for 15 bones each or something like that. Like, I know, because the idea is that they want people to buy more and more packs. So I guess put them out as a singular character. You could buy them on the store, kind of like you can the Ultimate Edition characters. something like that, and that they're still making their money, but everyone's getting the exact skin that they want. I think that makes more sense.
I'd like to
Yeah,
see
I agree
that.
with you. I'm not an economist. I don't know if the term is like elastic demand, but sometimes if you even put a lower price, people are going to buy more packs. So with something like the content they generate through the skins and stuff, I mean, to me, I don't know why they don't make, or at least test a bit to make the packs cheaper, which could actually turn more of a profit because people would be willing to spend money. Like for me, I've said it in one of my videos, like $7 Canadian or $10 Canadian is not very micro to me. Like, $3 here or there, whatever, I'll spend $3.
It's a hefty amount of money. Like if you look at Counter-Strike, it's like what? It's 150 something for a box, and then two bones for the key or something like that.
Cheap. Yeah,
it's cheap, but the skin you get out of it's like, it can be dirt. Like it can be like a piece of rubbish. Like like at least on Gears, that the skin you do get for your weapon, like it is nice and it looks good. So at least there's that. Like it is a nice looking piece of digital hardware, I guess. But no, I could see more people participating, more people being satisfied if it was kind of like just a set amount, like for something that you're guaranteed to get.
Yeah. That would get me. Currently, I'm not captured in their package buyers, but that would get me. If there was like a classic Dom skin.
black steel Dom. Like,
there you go.
Like,
you got me. Take
Chris
my
is
money.
just like, I'm in, dude. Yeah.
Just take it all.
Let's see. So the last thing on the microtransactions topic that I wanted to bring up is: have you guys seen the recent law change in China about microtransactions?
Oh, you're talking about where they have to be. They have to show the drop rates.
Yeah.
Companies have to show like the RNG rates of like the chances of getting what you want inside of a pack. It's kind of actually crazy.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I don't know if there's some loophole or ex post facto. I can't speak right now.
Ipso facto. Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't know the phrase.
Ex post facto, I think it is.
Ex post facto. Okay.
Yeah, it's because the game's already been launched and now the law's coming out. Maybe TC doesn't have to comply with it. Maybe the future packs that they come out with will have to comply. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is TC gonna have to publish these things?
So, is it a law from China though? You said.
Yeah, it's a law from China, and
so. Would they be bound?
That would show. That means that they would publicly have to show the algorithm of their packs to the Chinese government, which means that's going to be public information, right?
It has to be published on a website or something like that. It has to be published for a certain number of days, and Microsoft's not a Chinese company, but I'm guessing they.
But Gears 4 is sold in China.
Gears 4 is sold in China.
Yeah, but that goes for any company like Valve and any kind of company that has microtransactions and packs that have an RNG rate are going to have to do that.
Blizzard's already published their stuff. Tencent
was there any kind of reaction to that from the community? Was people like, "Ooh, that's not good," or what?
I don't know. I've seen a bunch of posts on Reddit and stuff like that saying, "Oh wow, hey, I wonder when TC's going to do this." So
what?
I don't know.
Operating on the assumption that they do have to, let's just say that they do have to comply with the law and show people in China who buy the game the statistics. I'm all for it. Like that is clearly something that generates transparency, makes players feel like it's more fair. They know what they're getting into, and at the same time, it's going to push the coalition to do something that's fair when it comes to their breakdown. So I'm all for it. And in fact, like let's get those laws rolling in North America and Europe and everywhere.
I'd love to see it as well. So
yeah.
All right. Let's see. I saw a question in the chat that came up a couple times. Was on region hopping. So, what do you guys think of region hopping?
I do it. Region hopping, is this like a thing? So when I think of region hopping, what I do is that so I play on the European servers all day, but by the time I live stream, it's like midnight here.
Yeah.
So the EU servers are dead, or I'm finding the same fucking 5 guys every single time. So I just hop over to the US East servers, and a lot of my viewers are from the East Coast on the United States. So I'd rather have all 4 of them have a good connection rather than just me having a good connection on EU and 4 of them lagging, which makes them useless in the game. But when you say server hopping, do you mean like I don't know, someone from, you just mean generally someone from a really far away region playing on a server they shouldn't be? Is that essentially what you mean?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely some good that can come out of the ability to switch regions, but there's also a lot of people who will show videos saying like, hey, I'm from this region, I'm going to go play on these servers way over here, so it's really laggy and it gives me an advantage so I can do well.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, like even on Gears of War 3, I always bumped. There was no server select on that game. It just put you into whatever. Like it didn't matter where it was from or whatever. But I always bumped into people from Mexico. From Gears of War 1 all the way through Gears 2, Gears 3, Gears Judgment. I was always playing against people from Mexico. So it was nice that I had the region select to play against, you know, people from Europe. But I find that even now, people from Mexico still select to come over to the European servers. I'm not sure why. I've just been experiencing that, like a stacked team of people from Mexico. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but
yeah. And yeah, honestly, I don't even know why having that laggy connection would help you at all. I mean, it seems like it would be harder for someone to hit you because you might be
on the very off.
But...
On the very off occasion, like I've noticed that lag will help somebody. Like they'll be like teleporting, like glitching around,
it's a little harder
and you
to
won't
hit
be able
them.
to hit them. It's a little harder to hit them, but it's very on the off occasion, because on the off chance that they take their shot at the same time they have a small disconnect from the server, they're getting screwed over more by that than any kind of advantage they're getting out of it. So I'm not really sure what people's mentality behind, if I join a laggy server, I'll get the benefit. But I have seen, like, Gears has been strange over the years. I've seen people who have bad, like generally bad broadband internet, get like benefit from lagging over someone who has a like excellent download or an upload speed because of lag compensation. Like the server's like, okay, well, he did technically shoot, so we got to compensate for this lag, so he shoots first, and that's what the game determines, even though it looks like a bunch of horseshit on your screen. You know what I mean? Like that's like on your screen, you're like, I clearly shot him first, but the server's like, nah, he did it first. Like, you know, it just, yeah.
Yeah,
I've never had an issue with it. I mean, I was thinking along the lines of Pete, like if somebody wants to come hop on a server that I'm on across the country, I feel like it's just going to do them more harm than good. It's going to be harder for them to play. So I've never had this issue where I like go up against players who are lagging me to death or something. So, and I would sympathize for players who can't find people in their region. I think that would kind of suck. You literally can't play the game because there's no one around. So I'm sure there are some issues, but that has never been something that was a super big issue or deal for me anyway, in my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have the ability to change regions for things like what Pete said, where he wants to play at a certain time of night and there's no one playing where he is, so he'll switch over to US East, for example.
For his viewers as well, so they don't lag to death. Yeah.
I think having that option does more good than it does harm. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, like what would be your alternative? Like locking people out? That's the only other alternative there is to it.
I mean, so some games don't have a region select where you just search. You're searching in your region. If maybe you can't find a game for some reason, it expands and goes to another region and searches there. That's
I'm cool with that.
Pez Radar brought up the Brazilian server things. I believe it was Brazilian servers. There's at launch, there were a lot of people complaining, where are the Brazilian servers? Why aren't there any? And he said, here's where the servers are. And you guys are he sees a lot of reports of people playing at a time of day where it's sort of between time zones and there's not a lot of people playing on that server. So it migrates them over to the next closest server, which they don't have a very good connection to. And so, I mean, that's what a lot of games do, is you can't choose your region. It just searches yours, and if there's no games, it migrates you over to the next best server for you.
Yeah. I feel like that's what Gears 3 did.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
To the people asking in chat, Adam didn't tweet that. I think there was a forum post. I know I talked to him in person about that as well, at one of the events. But
what did they say in chat?
Of what Adam tweets, or really, I guess they were wondering where Adam said that. I take that as the context of their question. But, yeah, because I'm pretty sure they responded quite a few times in the Brazilian server thread that was open forever on the forums. So, Let's see. You guys, I've been checking the chat. I didn't really see too many other questions. Do you guys, while we let the chat ask a few more if they have any, do you guys have any other topics you want to bring up?
I guess back to microtransactions, what would be like, so in terms of like price point of stuff, like do you guys feel like that they're hitting, you know, does it feel like a kind of a, does it feel right, if you know what I mean?
Price feels high.
Yeah, okay, it does feel high, but so in particular, I want to talk about like the, you know, the team supporter Lancer packs or whatever.
Oh God, isn't that like
what is
$8 for a Lancer skin?
Yeah, so that's the one thing. I'm not here to bitch about price points or whatever, but I do, as a customer and a fan of the game, I kind of look at it and I'm kind of like, I'm looking at what they do with like, you know, the Paris supporter packs and stuff like that, where they have the set of the Lancer, the Gnasher, and the Snub. So like that feels complete, right? Like you feel like you're getting a lot of it. It's like a matching set. So why with the team supporters don't they have a Gnasher and a Snub to join that? Like I feel like that together would be worth the €8. That together, not for just the Lancer. You know what I mean?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the Lancer. It doesn't really make sense.
So something I thought this one thing I thought of a while ago that I think would actually be really cool is they have the esports supporter. Why not a community supporter? Take like top 5 streamers or something like that. Pete, imagine if you could have a Razor's Edge skin in the game.
Yeah, that would be. I'll buy that.
Because you know, right now they have the esports supporter. Some of the proceeds go to esports, and the rest of the proceeds go to the team or that sponsor. I mean, Pete, it would be a way for you can have your thing in there. TC could sell it, make some money, and then some of the proceeds would go back to you. Like,
oh,
that'd be pretty cool.
I never even thought. I would shit myself.
Yeah, like,
that'd be amazing. But do you know what? They kind of already are. They're not making money off it. But like Jeter's Lancer and I'm Adopted's Lancer are like currently in the game. So like there is like shades of that kind of direction could maybe happen.
Yeah, it's just
I'd be all
Tac-Com,
for it.
She has hers coming in a couple months.
Yeah, so. I'd be all for it. I think that'd be amazing. But like chances, I don't know. I think they're just 100% focused on esports and nothing else at the moment, really. That's kind of the impression I get.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you guys agree with the price point? Like, you think that there should be a Gnasher and a Snub in there? Like, kind of
at
the
that
company?
price, there should definitely be more.
I was gonna say, I remember them. I can't, don't quote me on it, but I think I remember reading somewhere where it was like, we're going to keep the price of this because the purpose is to support these teams, right? Yeah. And okay, fine, I'll give you that. I can agree with that. But at the same time, I feel like they just need to think pro-consumer. Like, okay, you're coughing up $8 to $10 on a Lancer skin. Is that like really valuable enough? And how much effort would it take us, like Pete said, to give you a complete weapon skin? Because I think people would just generally feel a lot better about buying this content if they really got a bang for their buck. And I don't think you're getting that with just one skin. Like, then you just have like a mismatched weapon skin set.
I hate that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah. So I'm not too sure what's going on with that.
Yeah. Let's see. Captain Jack Sparrow mentioned the plethora of rehashed and reskinned content from Gears UE, where a lot of these weapon skins are being ported over, or not ported over, but they look like ones that were from Gears UE. You guys have any real thoughts on that?
No, I don't really see that as like too big of an issue. Like, there's personally, like, I would love to see like every Gears game that comes out to have all of the old skins in the game at launch, and then they build on top of that again, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like the way, realistically, what would be nice is even in terms of characters and stuff. So in Gears 1 we had a very small selection, but in Gears 2 we had all of those characters and then some. And then with Gears into Gears 3 we had all those characters and then some, except for like maybe a few exceptions like Scourge and things of that nature. Which I don't understand. I don't understand why they just don't give us everything and then build on top of it. That's something that I don't get. And in terms of this is something I see brought up in my comment section and in my stream chat all the time, is that people really want to see like rewards for progression. Like they want to unlock characters for doing something. But I feel at this point it's too late to start introducing something like that, like for leveling in particular. But I think it would be nice if they kind of, so you know the way each week they give you a bounty pack, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if they increase that bounty pack to be a 5-card bounty pack, but in that are two kind of special challenge bounties where, like, if you do this week, you get this character or
That'd be
something
cool.
like that. You know, just something to work towards apart from leveling up and apart from grinding credits. You know what I mean?
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I
just also think that, like, generally speaking, I don't have a problem with these, like, rehashed skins or whatever, the variations. That's great. It's generating new content, so I don't complain too much in that regard. But it's pretty clear that, like, it is a very nostalgic community, you know? You bring back an old skin and people go crazy and stuff. And I know that takes a little more effort for them to do for voiceovers and whatnot, but I'm not exactly dying here to play as E-Day gear, you know, but if you throw in everyone talks about it, a Delta pack, or, you know, just working towards implementing some of that older content that people have more of a connection with, like, which they have done to their credit. But I think that's like where I would like to see a greater focus happening. But once again, I mean, I think they're delivering so much content, and they have introduced some characters like Dizzy, Ty. But, you know, I want the old school characters in there and all that type of stuff.
I'm sure that will make its way. I'm sure there's a classic Delta pack that will have, like, OG Delta Squad from Gears 1 in there. I'm sure that'll happen. But when you brought that up, it kind of reminded me, are you guys surprised that they made the zombie versions of the Carmine brothers before they dropped in the regular?
Yes.
So here's how I was looking at it. I saw the video I put out of the news of Anthony and Benjamin. It's getting a lot. The Carmines get a lot of attention in Gears. Like, they're really like a beloved set of characters.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of kickback from people as well, saying, like, I just want the regular ones. I'm sick of these zombie skins. So here's my verdict on it. I think what it was that there's such a huge demand for the Carmine brothers. I believe the voice actor's name is Michael Goff or something like that. I'm not sure of his name. It's Goff. His name is Goff anyway, his second name. So what the coalition have to do is that they have to get these voice actors to come back in to record additional dialogue for Horde 3.0. Like, they have to get them to say fabricator deployed and turret set and all this kind of stuff. So they probably couldn't get their hands on the voice actor to do that stuff. So they're just like, shit, like, we want to give you guys Carmines, but, like, we can't get this guy to go in. We don't want to put an unfinished product into the game. But honestly, I wouldn't give a shit if he didn't say anything. Like, personally,
they also potentially could have been working on these characters for quite a while, and maybe they already had this planned before there was the big backlash about the whole brains and zombie characters thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Though. Because I think it is quite a while into development.
I think it's the coalition trying to deliver for the demand of Carmine, and that they're probably waiting for this voice actor to come in before they deliver us probably a Carmine pack that will have, like, you know, Anthony, Ben, Clayton in it, and maybe a couple of varieties of them or something. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it. I think that it is the coalition trying to give us what we want, but then, you know, there's always a reaction from people. I'm just happy to have a Carmine in the game, like, that is an actual one of the brothers. I think it's
safe to say that you're going to be playing as Ben from now on.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'm terrible, but which one got shot in the eye? Anthony. So I think that the zombie skin for him, at least, is super fitting. You know, I think you're spot on with your point about not having the actor available, but here's a good opportunity. That's a pretty cool skin, in my opinion, to have an Anthony running around who got shot in the eye.
That with Kim as well, where Kim has a nice big knife.
Yeah,
that's great.
There's zombie skins in the game, like Zombie JD, Zombie Reyna, Zombie Kate, that are kind of in there just for shits and gigs. Like, they're just zombie skins for the sake of being zombie skins. But I actually really love what they're doing is that with the dead characters, like the people who actually died in the Gears of War story, that they're giving them the wounds that they had when they died.
Exactly.
So like with Kimmy, it's the big huge gash where fucking Ram just gutted the shit out of him with his sword. Anthony has the big hole in his head from where he got shot by the sniper. Benjamin's got like this big shit all over his rib cage where like he was mauled by the what were they? They weren't polyps. They were called something
Poison.
else. There were some little creatures inside of the rift worm. But I love touches like that. Dom. I was looking at.
He should just be a pile of ashes or something.
He's a pile of ashes, right? Like he should look singed or something. Like he drove straight
like
into a
on
gas
fire.
tank, right?
Has some like fire on his clothes.
yeah. Like I feel like when they made the zombie Dom skin, they kind of made him like they kind of threw him in with the zombie JD and Kate and all that, and didn't really think about like. Didn't really think about his death at the time, but that's what they started to do with these. So, like, I think maybe they should look into maybe rehashing the zombie Dom skin, try and do it again with kind of a nuance to his death in Gears 3. But I definitely do like what they're doing with the zombie skins. I hope Rod Ferguson's tweet follows through and we don't have to hear any brains at all. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't mind grunting here and there, but it's just the fact that like right bumper brains. Jumps over cover, brains, shoots somebody.
I would have liked to hear... I mean, they have that dark, zombie-ish voice. I would have liked to hear their original lines, but sort of in that tone. I think that would have...
Dom goes like, shit, yeah. That would be so dope.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like it. Yeah, I'd be into it.
Let's see, so one of the topics that came up is on the coalition's support of streamers and community members. So I know, we've talked about this before. I thought the whole thing where they were tweeting out some of the people with regular stream schedules, like, "Hey, Shadows is live, Pete's live, Dutchy live is live." But I thought that was great, and they had some of the spotlight type things, which were great. I'm kind of disappointed I haven't seen much of that recently.
Yeah, I think so. They had on the Coalition Army subforum, they put up a post. I think it was either Adam or Liam, and they were like, "If you have a regular stream schedule, put your details here, and we'll create like a GIF that we can put on the official Gears Twitter for you guys." And they did that for Dutchy and Shadows, and there was somebody else. There was one other. I'm forgetting who it is, and I apologize. I don't want to be ignorant, but they did that, and then they haven't done it since, and they didn't do any like repeat tweets for any of those streamers either. I gave them mine, but I haven't heard any word back about anything like that. And then they did the month spotlight for, it was you, Shadows, and
Liam, who made the montage.
Oh yeah, the montage for the beta, right? Yeah. And then I think they said they were going to do that monthly, but there hasn't been anything since then. I think they're just so focused on esports that stuff gets pushed to the side. That's the impression I get.
I agree with you, and it's kind of frustrating just because I think it doesn't. I don't imagine it would take a tremendous amount of effort to just kind of spotlight people and like show first of all show creative content that's being made in the community, and
or even hit that retweet button.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't think the effort it takes is super demanding, and I love the streamer support that they were giving. Obviously, like I just do YouTube, so it'd be cool to see if they share some YouTube videos, because I feel like the Gears content creation scene is really small, but we're starting to get people who actually create some pretty cool stuff, and it would just be really encouraging if we could kick this program back into high gear. And I love the resource drops they do and stuff, so that's really cool, and I don't see too many other games doing that, so I appreciate that. But it's one of those things, I look at it and I'm like, you know what, super great idea, but a tad of a missed opportunity unless there's kind of changes that are being done.
Yeah, the thing you mentioned about the Gears Twitter, I think it's not active other than to make the announcements about gear packs or retweet some of the Gears esports stuff. So if you look at other Microsoft community channels like Rare and Forza, so Rare with Sea of Thieves, and Forza Turn 10, studios like that, Bungie, as another example with Destiny, they constantly tweet out the videos of like something that might be standout at the time. So like I think a great example of something that the Gears Twitter could do is like, so Blue Dodger's remake of River, be kind of like, oh, look what he did in Minecraft, and that's a Microsoft property, so it's related and it's something unique. And people who wouldn't usually look at Gears like look at Minecraft and they're like, oh, that's cool, that guy built a multiplayer map like in the game. That's a clever way to use Minecraft, right? Yeah. And they're like, Gears of War, I wonder what that is. And like it's just stuff like that where they can kind of like, I don't know, utilize their social presence a bit more. Like I remember when Fallout was the community manager at Black Tusk at the time, he actually got him to participate in the top 20 Gears of War clips of 2014, and he tweeted out via the Facebook and the Twitter and stuff like that, and it drove a lot of traffic. And one of the things is, there doesn't seem to be anything like that since then,
So he wasn't really community manager. I think he was like community outreach or something.
He had the community role. It was right. Him and Jack were both working together because there was no community manager, so they were just doing it.
And his role, like the title, was very specifically geared towards community outreach type things or getting involved with the community, which I really enjoyed. And that's Stacy or Flack from Epic. Her role changed from, well, she's now a community manager again for, I forget if it's Unreal Tournament, but she changed into
she is on Unreal at the moment.
But for a while she was like community experience coordinator or something like that, someone who would reach out to the community and make sure they're having a good experience. And to me it seems like the broader community team at the Coalition now has changed a lot into esports focus, obviously, but then a marketing thing, and there hasn't been as much of the community interaction and outreach as we've come to expect from a Gears game.
And if I can just add a little point here that we were talking about before the stream was, I think it'd be great if they kind of work in conjunction and connect like the community with the esports scene. So if you watch a lot of esports, you know that sometimes there's going to be like, we'll be right back after 5 minutes. There's like little delays. That's a perfect opportunity to slot in some really good community content, keep people engaged, plug your community creators, so it's a win-win. And there's no reason in my head that it has to be like, here's one group and here's the other, and they never ever intersect. So I think that would be really cool if we see in the future.
So pre-Coalition, that's how it was. It was, as you described, like the two separates. But then when the Coalition came in, Jack, when she initially came on board as a community, she did a great job of like stitching it. Like a lot of like, I didn't know any of the esports guys before that. Like she did a great job of stitching it together. Like getting, like I ended up meeting John and got involved with Hypestation and things like that. And so there was kind of like this stitching together of the esports, and that carried through even into Ultimate Edition. But it seems now with Gears 4, once again, now there seems to be this line drawn. Kind of for some reason, it just feels like that. There are people in the esports scene who take that extra step to collaborate on the content creator side, and like so people from our side also take that extra step, but it's not like a natural thing like it seemed to be when Ultimate Edition was out. Like, and even Liam and Adam were continuing that all the way through Ultimate Edition, but it just seems like since Gears 4 has come out, just for some reason there seems to be this line drawn between those communities again.
And I think one of the big things you mentioned was Jack opening that up a lot. Jack was honestly one of the greatest things to happen to the community for this game. When she was the interim community manager, that was we saw a lot going on. There were streams, constant communication on the forums. There needed to be, because it was the Coalition just picking up the fresh franchise, starting anew. But she did a fantastic job there.
Yeah, I wish they did. I wish they did the community nights still. Like I remember every month they would do a thing where the developers would be in a lobby, they would talk and do Q&As and things like that, which was spectacular. That they kind of carried that on from what Epic used to do on Thursdays. Like I was talking to chaps like this about this a while ago. He used to collect the questions for those Thursday streams. Where Epic would just sit down and answer questions about Gears Judgment. It would just be like Pete, Nub, and Rack and Flack kind of relaying the questions. I'd love to see them do more of that, because I don't know. I think a mistake that a lot of developers make is creating this distance between the developer and the player base. When it seems more united, that's when there's a lot more kind of motivation from the community on both ends.
Yeah.
So a great example is Massive Entertainment for the Division. They actually stream themselves from their own houses to like the Division account and play with people from the community and stuff like that. It'd be great to see, Liam and Adam fire up the stream and just be playing the game like in social, just with a couple of people answering questions, just casually playing the game. I'd love to see stuff like that. But I think they're just so focused on getting esports off the ground and getting it to where they don't need to kind of get it to where it needs to be kind of pushed anymore. I think that's why we're not seeing stuff like that. I think that they want to get it to a certain place before they start kind of dealing with the content side of things again.
And it's what Adam brought up in the last discussion stream we had, is headcount. If they had someone else on the community team, maybe they'd be able to do more stuff like that. Me personally, being involved in the community for so long, I find it disappointing that we aren't able to have them get someone else to do that sort of thing. It's I don't know, it's pretty disappointing, and I sort of feel like they're losing. I mean, they have a pretty nice audience in Gears right now, but I sort of feel they're losing a lot of audience due to the lack of, or the apparent lack of, community engagement. And it seems like, I don't know, hiring someone else to fill that gap and keep people engaged would pay off in the end, instead of them slowly losing audience and needing to regain them back when Gears 5 comes around.
I don't think that's how it's going to go, though. I think they're not going to make that mistake of trying to reel people back in. I think the idea of that the reason why they're putting so much investment into esports is because they want Gears of War to be an entertainment name. Like, there's a fucking movie coming out, for Christ's sake. Like, You know what I mean? Like, it's something that Microsoft is investing in. So there's no doubt that Gears of War isn't going to be something that necessarily dies. Like think of it this way, like,
it's not going to die, but
it never had developer support to the degree that it has now. And Gears of War 3, like, never died. You know what I mean? Like, it carried on. Like, it had people, like, tens of thousands of people still playing Team Deathmatch and all that kind of shit. Like, it blows my mind that, like, the game lasted that test of time with no developer support, no updates, no nothing. But now we actually have that developer support. So there's no doubt that the momentum going into Gears of War 5 is going to be, like, insane. Like, it's going to be great for everybody. The esports scene, content creation scene, like, people who are just getting into the game can easily ride the wave of, like, whatever hype there's going to be for that game. It just, I don't see any negative to anything there.
No, I think you're right. Like, I feel like we're at a state of good, and we just want to get to great. And I think that the big investment they're doing in esports, one of the reasons I love it so much, aside from it's fun to watch and whatnot, is I love knowing that Gears is, like, going international and visiting all these different places and really putting its name out there and attracting new audience members and whatnot. The only kind of critique I can think of was something that you had mentioned way before about this idea where content will kind of drop and they'll say, hey, community, this is what's going on now. And then it just kind of goes quiet and it shifts the focus to the esports scene. And the people who are not paying attention to the esports scene will kind of be feeling like they're left in the dark. And I don't know if you two have a similar experience, but for me, sometimes I have trouble reading if the community is kind of like growing, or if it's steady, or or if it's engaged or whatnot. And I don't have much to go off on this other than my channel analytics and whatnot, or the forum stuff. But so yeah, I think the game is growing and the esports scene is helping, but sometimes I'm kind of confused as to whether or not, or like how fast the rate is, or if, it's growing at all.
Yeah, I think this month in particular is kind of them addressing that. I find that the pattern for, like, since the new year has been, there's big load of hype at the start of the month, and then it tapers off, that there's like a kind of level of people being satisfied, and then towards the end of the month people are just getting frustrated waiting for the next content. But what they've done this month is that they put the special event of King of the Nasher at the end of the month, so it's kind of something to keep people tied over until the next content drops, so it doesn't feel like there's kind of like this stretch between content and communication. I think that's them kind of addressing that end of things.
Yeah. All right. There's been a lot of discussion in the chat. I haven't really seen any new questions come up on stuff that we haven't covered yet.
Oh, what I will say is, I I don't like disclosing like private messages from that I get from Adam or Liam, but I'm sure Liam will be fine with this. But he did like message me recently saying that they do have plans to support like the content creating scene, like on the way. Like there's stuff that they are talking about. I wish he would tweet that publicly, you know what I mean? I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. Like he never specified anything to me or anything like that, but just to know that he said that. You guys are aware that they gave me some of the mega packs for free for a video, right?
Yeah.
Like I did state that and stuff.
It was like the top 100 or top 10 streamers or something like that for Gears got some free mega packs, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that. I got like an email that had like a rundown of everything. It was really cool. And I'd love to see more stuff like that. But no, it was like after that he was saying we've more plans for stuff for our content creators, which is really nice to know. It's nice to know that they are kind of thinking of that. It's just because like I'm not sitting here going like they're not giving me attention or whatever. Like I don't care. Like I'll do my own thing, but it's just nice to know that developer like acknowledges that we are working hard, and like when they do stuff like that, like it drives traffic to our channels and makes our jobs easier, and I'm sure that they want us to succeed just as much as we want the game to succeed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like cyclical. If we succeed, they succeed. If they succeed, we succeed. So if that makes sense.
Yep.
So. For me, I think it's like an accountability thing. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to get support, and like the esports scene is going to get support, and the community is going to get heard and whatnot. I think what would make me happy is just to kind of have like some hard dates to be excited for. So that was even my thing with the whole like spotlight thing. Like, hey, every month on, let's say, the 15th, we are going to spotlight 2 people, and like that's kind of exciting, right? So I think if they just were able to sit down and say, okay, what can we deliver at what time? Like that to me would make it very exciting. I understand that might be difficult because once you set a firm date, then you have to make sure you reach it. But I feel like the model they're kind of working off right now is we have a lot of things in the workings, and we'll let you know when we know more, but we can't really give you a hard date and time. So not sure if you guys would agree with me there, but for me, if I had like some hard dates or times, that would get me like pretty hyped.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think what you say is an example of why they don't give hard dates of the content drops for like each month. Why they don't give a date for the maps. Like sometimes it's the first week in the month, sometimes it's the second week, because sometimes like a glitch could develop on one of the maps. They're like, shit, if we gave a deadline, that's a really big problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So like that kind of stuff I understand, but in terms of like content, like if they're going to do a spotlight or, you know, tweet out somebody's stream, or, you know, just feature something or something of that nature, or create some kind of special community video, it's nice to know that like on a certain date we all know what's coming. Like, and I think that's another way they could utilize the community calendar that's on gears.com, which I really love. I'm so happy that they introduced that. And have you guys noticed that they buried the forums? Like,
actually, yeah. So I don't have too much longer to talk here, but let's talk about that. I'm pretty sure
I'm kind of happy about that.
Forums.
Honestly, thank God. Oh, the forums is a cesspool.
Did I hear that
of
correctly?
shit.
Buried the forums? Is that what I heard?
There's no link to
that. That is a wrestling term, yes.
Okay, I was like, so what exactly do you guys mean by that? I feel like
so on the website it used to be front and center. So like if you go to gearsofwar.com, if you look on the very top bar, it's not there anymore. They took it out.
Oh, yeah.
You have to click on the community tab, and then you have to look on the side and scroll down, and it's on the right there. It used to be front and... Yeah, because the forums are cringe, man. It's just a lot of people just sitting there complaining and thinking that since they have a direct line to the developer that they can air their negative crap. Like, you know what I mean? And what since that was the like, and I'm very passionate about how much I hate the forums. Like I don't hate the community. I just think that the forums in particular just seems to be this cringy place where people feel like they can bitch because they have a direct line to the developers. You know what I mean? So I think the reason they took it off the front page is because if someone who isn't like familiar with the game comes to check it out and checks the website and clicks, oh, there's a forum. They click on it. And it's just people bitching and moaning about the game. People are just gonna be like, yeah, I'm not touching this. So like it's more beneficial for them to not have it front and center. Plus, I've also like I've gone to conventions throughout the past couple of years, and I've heard people from certain studios mention to me that forums are being thrown away. It's they're going to be thrown away. They're going to be a dead practice in the next few months, I would say.
Yeah, in a few months, I could see the forums going completely away.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I can think of like 2 where people are like, "Oh, never playing this game again." Like, why are you posting that?
Yeah, so. Why? Yeah, like I think they're all going to shift towards 100% social media. Not that they haven't really already. I doubt that. I think the only reason that Adam or Liam would ever go to the forums is just to put on an announcement there out of courtesy, because that's kind of like the home place for announcements. Yeah. But now they're doing that on the community page. So it seems that feedback is now being taken in through social media, and announcements are being put on the community hub and the social medias as well. So the forums are essentially a dead and gone kind of thing. But I think the forums, I think the only reason that the forums may not 100% fully leave is for like in-depth feedback, kind of like what Chaps does on a lot of occasions, where he'll give like bullet points of like a detailed descriptions of why things are positive and negative, like that kind of particular feedback. Maybe they should think about having a public email for something like that. Who knows? But I think the forums
that would get spammed a lot.
Probably. They have the Gears feedback program, and if they allow you to put a little more info, that could be helpful.
Yeah. What about? I guess I don't want to take over the show or anything, but I guess last thing we could mention could be the Coalition Army and the Gears feedback program. Do you feel like they're utilized enough?
No. So Gears feedback program, I don't think there's been enough surveys. The surveys themselves, actually technically we're not even allowed to talk about the surveys, but I don't think this, according to terms of service, I mean, they've been out long enough now. I think it's fine. But even the last one, if you look at the terms of service, you're not even allowed to publicly state that you've got a survey.
No, I even now, even with how much time has gone past, I still wouldn't publicly talk about it. If they don't want us to talk about it, they don't want us to talk about it.
I will say I don't think that they're utilized very well.
Utilized from what I've seen, I like the way they've been presented, the format, all that kind of thing. I'm not sure if but I think we should shift off of what specifically the surveys are like. But in terms of maybe the Coalition Army, I think they released some assets once or twice. They gave us an intro. Give us an intro and some overlays for streamers who may not have access to artists and stuff that can do graphics for them, which is really cool.
Having things like character cutouts or weapon cutouts, blank backgrounds.
So this was stuff I actually spoke to Octus about before, was can we not have high-res images of so when all the Black Steel characters come out, can we not have individual PSD files of all of these characters that we could just easily throw into a thumbnail, because you guys have that stuff. Right. You probably have it in a folder. Can you not just share it with us?
Jess, who does a lot of the graphic work for Tac-Com, she's mentioned that to them before as well. And to me, it seems like they put out some B-roll footage and stuff like that, but there is a lot of content that is missing that people would really love to have and could really take advantage of.
Yeah, I remember a few different studios have done this. The most recent one I could think of is Boss Key, Lawbreakers, Cliffy B's new game. Their community manager, Brutality, you guys are probably familiar with her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She releases packages every now and then with cutouts of each character that's in the game. Awesome. In different poses, there's different backgrounds and stuff. So she gives you everything you essentially need to create a standout thumbnail for your videos, or if you're trying to create some kind of graphic for a banner, you can use all of the high-res assets that they have, instead of trying to take a screenshot of something in game and then cut it out and then it looks low-res and that kind of thing. It would just be better if they could give us access to that kind of stuff and utilize the emails a bit more. I find that they're just kind of linking us to that sub-forum now instead of giving us emails.
I think that the Coalition Army it's a good idea on paper, but really it's a set of folders that they have files in. And signing up for the Coalition Army, it's okay, yeah, you can get notified when stuff goes up there, but really it's just a folder that pretty much anyone can access. There's not really anything special about it. To me, it seems like it's a program that's there for the sake of them saying, hey, we have this cool little program.
Well, the The way I see it is like and I do agree with you, but I just see it as a missed opportunity. Like, I don't think it's made just so we can say, hey, we're doing this, but I think it's like this. Yeah, they could add some more resources, but even resources aside, that's half of what the program is supposed to do. In my opinion, I mean, you're connecting content creators and you want to promote the content that's being made. I mean, simply put, what's the point of giving people resources if they're not even going to like be able to promote the content they're making with those resources? I'm not saying that they never promote anybody, but what I'm saying is it's half the battle to provide resources so people can make content. And I think the last half is actually working with your content creators, connecting them and having them their content promoted. And I know we talked about that a bit already, so I won't get too much into it, but I think the program is great, and the weapon skins for it, oh my god, those were so nice, and there's definitely some cool stuff there. So I do like the program. I just think once again, they need to step on the metal here and get it rolling.
Yeah.
So
I guess one other thought I had was like customer service. Like, people constantly have issues with, like, they buy a gear pack and sometimes the items don't show up in the thing. Like, I feel like people think I work for the coalition sometimes. The amount of like questions I get like about technical stuff, I'm like, dude, like, ask Adam and Liam, and I redirect them via Twitter and stuff. But the only thing I noticed that they have that's kind of like customer service related is that, like, the help channel in their Discord. And I think that's usually related. The only time I've seen that super active was when there was issues with the phantom skins.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool if maybe they kind of like they have volunteer positions, you know, like Grex and people like that. If maybe they got more volunteers to kind of brush up on their knowledge about the technical side of Gears of War and get them to, you know, be in the Discord at all times to answer people's questions or something like that, I guess. Because the amount of frequent questions I see, not just my timeline or my comment section on other creators' timelines, is quite large. I think that if they had like kind of like a standby team in that Discord, that it would help them a lot.
Yeah, probably.
I agree, and I bet you there'd be tons of people who would be willing to volunteer. I mean, that's not going to be an issue, I think.
Yeah, like I can understand why they wouldn't want, like, obviously if they don't have an extra community manager, they're not gonna like hire like 5 people to be in a Discord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sure people would love to have that they kind of technically did voluntary work for the coalition on their resume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure people would love that. I'm sure there's people that have Discord open at all times. Like, kind of someone like me, like, I have Discord open at all times. It would be no issue for someone like me. Obviously, I'll be busy doing videos and stuff like that. I wouldn't actually have the time personally, but like someone who's kind of like in this world of, you know, Gears of War and games and this community, like, would be more than happy to answer people's questions who have issues. I'm sure there's people out there that would want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's about it. That's all I can think of.
All right.
Yeah,
Chris,
I
anything?
think Dark
Yeah,
Chaos said that they released the thing about the Overwatch.
Yeah, so
cases.
Tencent, I believe, is a Chinese company that released stuff, and then Blizzard released their Overwatch odds as well. So,
Okay.
Yep.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other topic. We covered a heck ton here, so I won't.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going for, what, hour 45 now,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Nice.
pretty lengthy stream. So, Pete, Chris, for the YouTube video, I'll have all of your links down in the description so people can go check out your
Awesome.
Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all the fun stuff. You guys watching here live and asking questions, thanks for tuning in. Watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Pete, Chris, thanks for having you guys. It's great talking to community people, getting some nice conversations like this going. Yeah,
For sure. Anytime, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I really enjoy having these conversations with people who might share the same perspective as me, maybe have different opinions, but, I mean, seem to have a pretty nice conversation, so it's always fun.
Yeah,
For sure.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the stream, so we'll catch you guys later. See ya.
Bye.
Take care.